What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey, episode number 176, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of everything related to the greatest sports league in the world, the NHL. My name is Vinnie Parisi, and I still believe the New Jersey Devils are going to win the Stanley Cup. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he is the king of all beans. Frankie Bean, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's November 1st. You know what that means?
Christmas, snow's coming down.
Yep.
Christmas,
Today,
be around 3 p.m.
3 p.m. on what's the station, VP?
93.9. I believe is it still called The Light?
The Light FM, I think it's called.
It
At
used
least
to
it
be for
was.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's that season. We're here. It's crisp outside. I woke up a little chilly with the window open. It felt great. I'm dialed.
Delilah. I remember around Christmas time, people will call in with like their love stories, and then Delilah will be like, "Do I got a song for you?" And then she'll play like Frosty the Snowman or some shit. Like, Delilah, how the fuck does that relate to my relationship that's gone wrong? The fuck, Delilah.
Delilah knows best.
She gets pretty snippy on there too. And speaking of getting snippy, there's a snippy couple NHL teams that we got to talk about. And we're going to do so in period number 1. Frank, obviously, when we made our return from our little summer hiatus, the first show we did was to talk about the tragic passing of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew. And very, very sad. We miss Johnny. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they miss Johnny too. But it seems like so far this season, they're playing with a little bit of magic. They have been a story so far this season for how well they have played. I think even before Johnny Gaudreau's passing, we thought the Blue Jackets weren't going to be all that good of a team. They've been rebuilding for a couple years. So far this year, though, things have been working out real well for them. What do you think?
They're playing with a lot of fire this season, that's for sure. They are a team that's done a lot of their damage in front of their home crowd. Their organization went through a tragic offseason, and to go with what the Blue Jackets had to go through leading up to the start of the season really gets to every player on the team. It's a lot for the teammates to deal with, along with the coaching staff and even the fans. It's tragic. The Blue Jackets are playing for a lot more this season. This season, they're playing for Johnny Gaudreau. Now, we're only like 12% done with the regular season or whatever, but Kirill Marchenko, he's been great. Sean Monahan's been great. Elvis Merzlikins, he's been really good. But like I said, it's only been 9 games so far for them. I think as we get to the 20-game mark, we really get a feel for what a team is going to be like for the rest of the season. But hey, the Blue Jackets have gotten some big wins early on, and they've really been impressing so far.
I'm actually very happy for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Obviously, it's been tough. You don't replace a player like Johnny. What's up, Skokes? You don't replace a player like Johnny. Calgary Flames still haven't when he left in free agency. The Blue Jackets aren't going to with, losing him tragically. When you look at the things that help make them good so far this season, their top line of Sean Monahan, Kirill Marchenko, and Yegor Chinakhov have been absolutely unbelievable. Monahan came to the Blue Jackets with the sole intention of reuniting with Gaudreau after playing in Calgary for so long together. Obviously, unfortunately, that is unable to happen. But Monahan found a place on that top line with Marchenko and Chinakhov to the point where Marchenko and Chinakhov did an interview and said that Monahan being the only non-Russian on the line, they're starting to call him Monahanov. I think that's pretty funny, Monahanov.
Yeah,
the OV at the end. What would your Russian name be? Muellerov? Muellerov. That's actually pretty cool. Muellerov. Frankie Muellerov.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parisov.
Yours would just be Parisov.
Oh, Parisov. Yes. Yes.
Like
oh my God. Yeah.
Like Kaprizov, but Parisov.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hell yeah. I'm wearing a Wild jersey, literally. That's great. And then Zach Werenski on the back end. He's one of the truly great offensive defensemen in the NHL still. I think he'll probably play for Team USA at the Four Nations face-off this year. He's got some injury history, which has troubled him in the past, but they're also getting goals from guys like Ken Johnson and Adam Fantilli and Cole Sillinger. I really think it's only a matter of time before Fantilli like really breaks out. He's been good so far. I think he'll be great. The skill is clearly there. Every goal he scores is pretty. And then, keep building through the draft. I don't think Columbus is going to stay as hot as they've been. 4th in the Metro as of right now with a record of no, they're 5th in the Metro. 5-3-1. I don't necessarily see that lasting necessarily, but I hope they have a good enough season to feel good about
playoffs. Playoffs, VP?
No
playoffs.
No shot. I don't think you think so either.
No.
But we're both truly happy for them. I hope they keep it up all year. Adam Fantilli is one of my favorite players, college players of all time. Hopefully he stays healthy and really starts to continue keeping it going. Frank, a team I kind of wanted to talk about in depth a little bit, the Toronto Maple Leafs. 6-4-1, 13 points, 3rd in the Metro. It kind of seems like the top 3 teams in the Metro are in the. I said Metro, I meant Atlantic. They're kind of starting to separate themselves a little bit. What are your thoughts on Toronto? You got anything for me? Because I kind of wanted to break them down a little bit through 11 games.
Yeah, this team, very up and down through 11 games. This is a team that's beat down some very good teams this year. They got a win against Tampa Bay, a win against the Los Angeles Kings, who are off to a hot start. Hey, they handed the Winnipeg Jets their only loss of the season so far. They've got
beat the Devils, who are in first place of the Metropolitan Division.
Big wins. Every game that I mentioned was multi-goal wins for them too. None of those games were 1-goal games. So they got some dominant wins on the resume. However, you look at some of their losses. A blowout loss to the St. Louis Blues. A blowout loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, the Columbus Blue Jackets are playing good right now, but they also lost to the Boston Bruins, while the Bruins are having one of their worst starts to a season in recent memory. These are games on paper you go into that you're scheduled to win. Everybody expects you to win. You get those big wins, but then you're not winning these games. You start to see the inconsistencies starting to pile up, and it really makes you wonder a bit. William Nylander leads the team in goals. Marner and Nylander are tied for the team lead in points. Matthews off to a good start, but a little slower than what we're used to seeing. I don't think he's even quite point per game this season so far. The offense hasn't really been an issue. The defense is what's the problem here. It's been subpar. This team's giving up way too many goals, and it's leading to way too many chances against Stolarz and Woll. These 2 goalies, they're fine. Woll's the goalie of the future, right? He signed that, 3-year deal with the Leafs in 2022? They expect Woll to be the goalie of the future. Right now, on paper, you're not winning a cup with Stolarz and Woll. I don't think they're ready right now. Stolarz has been a veteran. He's been around. No, you're not winning with this team you have now. I truly believe that. I think some changes need to be made on the back end. That's my take for you.
There you go. You brought up Matthews. He has 10 points in 11 games. So he's right on the cusp of being point per game. I'm sure he'll get it going. In the goal scoring department in particular, I think the assists that he's putting up are kind of on par with what he's done throughout his career so far. A little bit of a resurgence from John Tavares, 11 points in 11 games. Yep. If they get 82 points out of him this season, I think they'd be thrilled with that. And then Marner and Nylander tied for the team lead in scoring with 12 points. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has looked good for them after kind of resurging his career a little bit in Florida. I think Woll, by the end of the year, could be a guy you go into the playoffs thinking that they could win with. But as of right now, I'm kind of with you. Like, he's got a lot to prove. I think I'd rather. So you brought up all the teams they beat, most of them, all of them in a playoff spot, or like really truly like a top gun in the NHL right now.
They beat the Devils, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I didn't even mention that.
Yeah. And like the Devils are leading the Metro. They beat the Lightning, who are
I'm telling you,
got the Hall of Fame
they
core.
got some big wins, but bad losses.
But I think I'd rather that than the other way around. If you're that team, like the team that plays football in Chicago, where all your wins are against, the crap teams, and then when the good teams come to town, you falter. I think you'd rather it be the other way around.
Oh, 100%.
You'd rather be good against the good teams, because against the bad teams, it's clear, like, you guys could beat them. Like, let's go.
100%.
There's coaching adjustments, there's player adjustments, there's mentality adjustments when you're playing the bad teams that I think are easier to correct than when it's just the other team is beating you because they're better.
I agree with that. The only problem is, game 80, 81, 82 comes around, and you're 2 points away from winning your division, or you miss winning the division by 2 points, or you falter throughout the year and have a bad losing streak, and you're 2 points away from, or 3 points even, from making the playoffs. You're a bubble team now. You're going to look back and be like, I should have beat the 7th place in the division, St. Louis Blues, and I'd be in the playoffs and we wouldn't be in this predicament. That happens. You know what I mean? We talk, like, look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. They couldn't get in because they couldn't beat the Hawks. Those are the teams you got to beat. You got to be consistent.
It's a great point, Frank. I don't disagree. You know who their next opponent is?
Who's that?
It's the St. Louis Blues on Saturday night. They get their second game. A team they don't play very often. They knock them both out pretty early in the season. So, yeah, they play the 5-6-0 Blues on Saturday in St. Louis. So I'm sure the Leafs will kind of go into that game with a little bit of extra jazz. No pun intended with playing the Blues. But I like the Leafs long term. They kind of go through this every year. They are the West or the Eastern Conference Oilers. Like, I do truly believe they are the Western Conference Oilers. They start the season slow and then pick it up by the end of the year. Now, the Oilers, they made that run. They have a run to the conference finals, and they have a run to the Stanley Cup final in the McDavid era. Matthews and Marner and Nylander have been past the first round once, so that's a little bit of a difference in terms of their success in the playoffs. But in the regular season, it's like these teams that barely make it out of October 500 and then go on a run December, January, February, March. I didn't even say November. So we'll see what happens. I like the Leafs long term. This year, I'm not sure if they're a cup team. We'll have opinions on that by the end of the year, certainly. Frank, last night, the Chicago Blackhawks took on the San Jose Sharks in San Jose at the SAP Center. And my guy, one of my favorite players in the NHL, one of my all-time favorite college hockey players, Will Smith, scored his first career NHL goal. He followed it up with his second career NHL goal later in the game that served as the game winner. What do you take away from Will Smith and the suddenly hot 3 wins in a row San Jose Sharks?
Of course, it comes against the Blackhawks. Of course, he's going to get his first goal. I mean, we kind of expect this. It's always Chicago in any sports giving them their first win, their first shutout, their first whatever the case may be. But this Sharks team, they started bad. They've been bad. With the exception of Fabian Zetterlund, no one on the team is scoring right now except the veterans they brought onto the team to help develop the rookies around them. Granlund and Toffoli have been doing everything. They've been great. Zetterlund snuck in there. He's been a sleeper as well. Eklund, he's been pretty good too. But this team, they dug themselves into a huge hole to start the season for the second straight year. They're the only team in NHL history to lose their first 9 games to start a season in back-to-back years. Now, you look, Macklin Celebrini, he's only played in 1 game. The goaltending's been a nightmare. Both Blackwood and Vanacek are showing why the Devils needed to get rid of them. Now they're on a much worse team, obviously, and they don't have that skill in front of them, but they really weren't no better with the New Jersey Devils. But now, I mean, it's just been a nightmare in San Jose right now. They found themselves right now on a 3-game win streak, getting a little hot. Now, can the rookies start to get something going on this squad? That is the key. They're not going to sustain it. I don't see them going on an 8-game win streak here, but they're getting hot, and now it's time for the rookies to show up because really, this is a write-off season for the San Jose Sharks. Nothing's going to come about it. It's all about production from their young guys. Can they get it going? The vets are going. We're going to see how that progresses as the season goes on.
I certainly think they're going to end up being a bottom 5 team. They're going to end up looking to be in the draft lottery sweepstakes for James Hagens out of Boston College. They have success with Celebrini and Will Smith, and one went to BC, one to BU. Obviously, San Jose is very interested in high-end talent from college hockey, but also there's Porter Matone and Anton Frundell, who are guys who could be top 3 picks in the upcoming draft. Those two guys, one of them's from Sweden, Anton Frundell's from Sweden, and Porter Matone is from, I don't know exactly where he's from. I just know he plays for the Mississauga Steelheads in the CHL. So it'll be exciting to see how that all plays out. I think another tank year for both Chicago and San Jose is probably the best thing for them going forward. And by tank, I don't mean like lose on purpose. Obviously, both teams added in the offseason to try and have a stronger year. I just don't think there's a Celebrini. Like Hagens is amazing. And I don't know if you saw that video that went viral of him skating the other night where he didn't put his head down. It's actually incredible. I'll send it to you if you haven't seen it. But Celebrini and Bedard had a little bit different hype than Hagens. I think Hagens is going to be very good, but he's got a lot to show in the rest of the season. So far, he's got 1 goal and 5 assists for 6 points in 4 games for Boston College. So he'll probably come to the NHL and be real good right away. He'd be a great third scoring option or even second scoring option. We'll see how it progresses, but I like that Will Smith got on the board. It wasn't even just the goal scoring yesterday where I thought he looked good. It was just his all around game. It looked like he's finally here. San Jose's been scratching him every other game to kind of ease him into the NHL. I wonder if that he's got his first 2 tucks under the belt and it literally led to them winning. They would not have won without Will Smith yesterday. I wonder if he starts to play a little more than every other game going forward. That would be my diagnosis if I were in charge
for a 2-goal game.
Yeah, I just don't see that being the case. He's only been playing every other game for the most part. Thankfully, he played in the game I was at. I wanted to see him so bad. If he would have been a healthy scratch, I would have been so annoyed. But they play again on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks, and I believe Celebrini is going to play. I have just this inkling that Celebrini is going to play. So if you're looking for some Saturday night hockey, I know we'll have it on the TV when we're hanging out. That'll probably be my number 1 priority game on the TV. Honestly, is San Jose Vancouver. At 9:00. At 8:00, 7:00. There are some other games. The Habs play the Penguins. I'm intrigued by Maple Leafs Predators. Utah Hockey Club versus Vegas Golden Knights will be a real good one. So, we'll kind of keep an eye on that kind of stuff throughout the weekend. But another player I kind of wanted to single in on, Frank, Nico Hischier of my favorite team, the New Jersey Devils, is currently tied for the league lead in goals with 10.
Yep.
I think we both kind of wrote him in for anywhere from 26 to 35 goals going into this year, but he's got 10 before October is over. I'm starting to wonder if he could tickle the feathers of 40.
It's very possible. I mean, this is the dream start you wanted to see from Hischier and the Devils after disappointing season last year. Nico, like you said, tied for the lead in goals with Cole Caulfield. The team's 3-headed beast, Hischier, Hughes, Bratt, they're leading the team in points. I think Timo Meyer's tied in there with Brad or somebody for 12, tied for third. But I mean, this is what you want from the Devils. They're currently leading the Metropolitan Division. This was the start you needed to have to make up for lost time from last year. Do you see how much of a difference it makes to have a goaltender, a veteran goaltender who's been there, done that? The only thing that I will say again, I said this last week when we talked about the Devils, they've played the most games in the NHL up to this point so far. They played in 13 games. They lead the Metropolitan Division, but they also have played 13 games. Teams 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the Metropolitan Division have only played 9 games each. That's the potential for an extra 8 points to gain on the Devils throughout the season. That's just something they have to keep in mind. For the time being, just keep your foot on the gas, continue to get wins, and let the squad cook in the meantime. And you really don't have to worry about that. But that is something you got to keep in the back of your head if you're the New Jersey Devils, especially down the line towards the push for the playoffs at the end of the year.
Absolutely. I'm not positive they're going to win the Metropolitan Division. I'm not banking. I want them to make the playoffs. Every team that makes the playoffs has a chance to win the Stanley Cup, especially if you have a core like this. When you keep bringing up this 3-headed monster of Bratt, Hischier, and Jack Hughes, I think right now it's fair to you have to call it a 4-headed monster because Timo Meier. I'm sorry, I think he's just as important as Bratt. I do, because when he was on San Jose, he had 40 goals in back-to-back years. He's a superstar goal scorer. And last year, he wasn't very healthy for a lot of the year, and he still led the Devils in goals. And this year so far, 12 points in the 13 games. Same thing with Jack Hughes, and Nason has 12 points as well. Just an unbelievable addition by the Devils to bring him back after he went to a couple good teams in between and played well and developed there on good teams, came back to the Devils when they were ready to win. And then Bratt, 13 points, 13 games. Hischier, 15 points, 13 games. I mean, the potential for this to be one of the most well-balanced top scorers of a team in the entire NHL is very much there, because then you even look a little farther down, some of the depth. Eric Hall has 8 points. Paul Cotter has 8. Dawson Mercer has 7. Dougie Hamilton has 7. It's just, I think it's a well-balanced group, and they get a lot from everywhere. And with Hischier, man, the kind of guy we started talking about this segment with, he's got 10 goals and 5 assists for 15 points. He's also like one of the best defensive centers in the NHL. So, like, I think through the first month of the season, he's the clear Selke Trophy favorite. I wonder if you're kind of in agreement with me on that, because if he throws together a 40-goal season and, you know, he has 80-plus points and all the defensive metrics land about where they are right now, it's got to be his award. He came in second with 30 goals 2 years ago.
I was going to say he was nominated, and not only that, he will win a Selke in our lifetime. When? It could be this year. I mean, if there's a year to do it, right now he's on pace to do that.
If he wins it this year, I think he could win it more than once.
It's very possible. It's hard to win it more than once unless you're a freak, like Bergeron.
He might be a freak.
Doughty, but you know, he could be a freak. Why did I say not Doughty? I didn't mean Doughty.
Kopitar, and then Taves. They were like the multi guys. I get what you mean. I don't think he's Bergeron. I don't necessarily think he's going to win 6, obviously. And Barkov's got 2. It's kind of Barkov and Hischier's to trade, I think, in the long run, because there are a couple other guys. Well, guy might
sneak in.
Someone, because I Joel Eriksson Ek on the Minnesota Wild is a dark horse.
Or like a Marner one year.
Yeah, I don't see a wing.
You don't think so?
I just don't see a wing winning it.
It's going to happen eventually.
Mark Stone and Marian Hossa came the closest in my brain, and they weren't able to get it done because they don't have the face-off percentage. They're not playing the 200-foot game. It's just like they're outstanding defensively. Stone and Marner, I think those are the two, and Tomas Hertl, another guy. And Vegas has 2 of the 3 best wingers on defense, maybe in the league. And Bratt probably will get top 20 Selke votes too. He's real good on the wing, defensively. But I like Hischier's chances. And people are like, "Oh, Hischier's got 10 goals. This is a great start." Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, it's not like some third liner that's off to this hot start. Did I expect Hischier to have 10 goals through? You know, I would have guessed Hischier didn't have 10 goals till like early December. That's probably like a 30-goal pace. We starting November and he's got 10. I don't think he's going to score every game like he basically has, but he's like a number 1 overall pick, like superstar top line center. Like, it's not that surprising. Like, you win a lottery, you expect to get a guy like Hischier. You expect to get a guy like Jack Hughes. So I'm really not all that surprised by what Hischier has done so far this season. I'm just really not. Maybe to this magnitude in the goal scoring, but like, what the hell are we doing if Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier aren't their 2 best players? They won the lottery twice for a reason.
Yeah. And, you know, going back to what you said about the 4-headed beast, I do think Timo Meier is better than Bratt. I just think Bratt's more important.
You think Meier's better than Bratt?
Yeah, I think Meier has a higher ceiling. Goal-wise. He definitely – Bratt, I don't think, could score more goals than Meier. I mean, he might, but, like, the ceiling, I don't think he has a higher ceiling in terms of goals. Bratt, though, he's – they could win a cup without Meier. I don't think they win a cup without Bratt. I truly believe that.
Well, I like that, Frank. I like the way the Devils are built. They have Hischier and Hughes that they drafted number 1 overall, right? And then whether it's Meier or Bratt that you call their 3rd best forward and then the other's their 4th best forward, they drafted Bratt in the 6th round and they traded for Meier. And like Zetterlund, good player for the Sharks, like good player. They got Muhammad Doolin. They got the first round pick that turned into Quinton Musty, who I really like. I know our friend Tom really likes Quinton Musty.
Yeah.
He's going to be a good player for the Sharks. But like Timo Meier, the Devils and Sharks were in two different spots when they made those trades, and he's a beast. Brat's a beast. They got him in different ways. Then you got like you start leaning into the second tier of players like Dawson Mercer. They drafted him 17th overall. That's a great draft pick because a lot of people, first round pick, he's got to be a 100-point superstar. Wrong. Unless you're getting like the McDavids or the Bedards, you can't anticipate jack shit when it comes to the draft. You're hoping for an NHL caliber player that can give you some games. That's basically what it comes down to. And Mercer's been great, and I like Zaka for Halla is outstanding for the Devils because Halla's been great. And they got some studs on defense. Luke Hughes is back; he looks great. He's been really good defensively. The offense hasn't even really kicked in yet, but he's been so good defensively, and we know the offense is going to come. He's not on PP1 like he was last year because Hamilton is back, but that'll lower the points a little bit, but all I care about is him defending, to be honest, because I know the points will come because of how sick he is skill-wise. All right, Frank, really quick, going back to the beginning of the season, we made playoff predictions. Are there any playoff predictions that you made a couple weeks ago that you would change right now based on what you've seen through the first month of the season?
Well, interestingly enough, the top 4 teams in the Metro are the 4 teams I had in the top 4, just in a different order, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, same.
And that's the only division I could say that about is the Metro. It's very early in the season to start jumping ship on my playoff predictions, right? There's a couple teams I'm worried about who I had in that I'm worried about. First of all, I'd like to say I was wrong about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're still a wagon. I had them missing the playoffs. I know you had them in. I let one player leaving dictate what I thought about the team.
They replaced that one player with arguably one who's like currently better.
Yeah.
And like in the year 2024.
I don't know. I just had a feeling they'd fall off, but I was wrong. They're a wagon, 7-3, whatever they are, but they're very good. Bruins and Red Wings are 2 playoff teams that they're officially part of Scary Hour. They're chasing some pretty tough competition in the Atlantic, and both teams have really been struggling to keep the puck out of the net at the moment. By no means am I writing either team off for the postseason as of this moment. It's too early.
Especially the Bruins.
Especially the Bruins. But neither team could afford to continue the stretch that they've been on much longer. We saw the Oilers dig themselves out of a hole last year. You can't expect to do what the Oilers did every year or expect something like that to happen every year with the team, right? You can't model your game after what we saw last year. And the Oilers, they're in a much different predicament than the Bruins or Red Wings are this season. The Red Wings, they don't have as much firepower as the Oilers do, right? The Bruins do, but I still think the Oilers have much more firepower that they could get them out of that they could get them out of that type of hole. I do think the Bruins are talented enough to do it. And like I said, it's so early to write them off, but it's Scary Hour. They're part of Scary Hour. And like I said earlier, I don't think that we fully get a grip on what a team will be like until we get to the 20-game mark and beyond. But I'm worried for them. I'm worried for a few of my playoff teams so far this season. But there's none that I would necessarily change at this point in time.
I got one. The Wild are going to make the playoffs. Dumb, boneheaded, stupid idiot.
I'm proud of that one on my end.
That's a good one. I still think Colorado finds a way in because they're 5-6-0, 10 points. They started 0-4-0, then won 5 in a row. Now have lost 2 in a row, so they're back down under the playoff line. I'm not worried about that pick at all. I would double down on Colorado making the playoffs, actually. But I got the Wild getting in. I am pulling back on a team that currently holds a playoff spot. And thinking they're probably in trouble. And that's the Utah Hockey Club.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. So they started 4-0-0. Now they're 5-4-2. So in their last whatever amount of games, they're 1-4-2. Okay, every team goes through a skid, right? They're still in a playoff spot. They're looking good. Big win in their most recent game. But, like, if they didn't sign Sergachev, they would have all AHL defensemen because Marino is out for the year or like 6 months or whatever it is, and they lost Dursey for the year. That's big hits to the back end, hits that I didn't see coming. Obviously, when I predicted them to make the playoffs, I don't like their defense without Dursey and Marino, and I think that's going to cause them to struggle going down the stretch. I do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I revisit this in January and go, "You stupid idiot, Vin! You backed off Utah after predicting they make the playoffs to start the year." And I'll still be excited if they make the playoffs, and I said it in September. But I'm a little worried about that pick. I'm not fully off it, but I'm telling you right now, I'm a little worried. I'm taking myself back a little bit on the Utah Hockey Club because of that fact. It's a little bit troublesome that they're that injured on the blue line. They're exciting as all hell, and they could come in 32nd place, and I'll think they're going to be exciting as all hell because no matter what, Gunther is going to keep sniping. Clayton Keller is going to keep being one of the 5 best American players in the NHL right now. They get okay goaltending. They got good depth. Liam O'Brien is so fun to watch. He's like the new Brad Marchand in the NHL right now. The Utah Hockey Club are fun. I really like what they got going, and they're only going to get better as the years progress. I feel terrible for Arizona because, right when they were getting this good, they were kind of tweaking. And listen, Utah, they might react to these injuries, unlike what we've seen from Arizona. Arizona, they lose 2 of their top 3 defensemen, they're done. Utah, I could see pulling off a trade or developing well. Someone coming in and making an impact. So we'll see how it goes. But right now I'm worried about that. I like the Wild to make the playoffs. I'm changing up on that. In the East, every team that I said would make playoffs is in right now except for the Bruins. And the Blue Jackets have that last spot, and I don't think they are going to. If the Bruins don't make it, if they're that team that misses and the other 7 I got correct, don't be surprised if Buffalo takes that horrific start that they had where they look just like dog shit. Buffalo all of a sudden is 4-5-1. They have the last 10 games is their only 10 games. They're okay at home, not so good on the road. They lost their most recent game, but before that they were on a little bit of a heater. Tage Thompson is back. I want him to do the slap shot competition. I think he could get in the 103, 104, 105 range and win that shit. Really high on Tage Thompson. Don't be surprised if Buffalo finds their way in. I'm not full-blown predicting it yet because Ottawa's right there, so is Detroit. That little triangle of crap teams that are so close to making the playoffs every year are the first. They're the first, second, and third team out of the playoffs right now. I think Montreal stinks. Philly really stinks. Pittsburgh really stinks. If Barzal's out for a long time because he's really injured right now, if he's out for multiple months, the Islanders might be the worst team in the league. They might be worse than the Blackhawks and the Sharks, who I currently think are the 2 worst teams. The Islanders might get themselves in that conversation, and so might Philly, who the Bruins play next. So we'll see how that goes. You're sticking to your predictions as you've done with a lot of your predictions.
Well, no, I'm flipping on one. I think the Lightning are gonna make the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
But there's none that are out of the playoffs right now, like the Bruins or the Riley, that I'm counting them out or writing them off.
Understood. I feel the same way. In the West, no, my West is all jacked up. I had Nashville in; they stink.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yeah,
but I still think, but I'm not writing them off. I still
Me
think
either.
they'll get there.
They need to cancel another U2 concert. All right, Frank. Now it's time for me to get nice and angry when we talk about the beloved in period number 2. Welcome to period 2, Frank. I am so mad at the Chicago Bears that I wanted to dedicate an entire period, basically. It's not going to be too long, 15 minutes or so, where I just shit on them the entire time. I am disgusted with what I've seen from this franchise in the last week of this year, both on and off the field. Is there anything you want to say about the Bears before I absolutely go off?
The loss was a backbreaker. The throw by Jaden Daniels won him Rookie of the Year and eliminated the Bears from postseason contention all in one swing. NFC North right now is the best division.
Unofficially eliminated them from postseason. Yeah. Let's make that clear.
Yeah. NFC North division, best division from top to bottom in the NFL. It's not even close. Bears are 4-3, and with that record, they'd be second in some divisions in the NFL, but they're last. That's how good the NFC North has been this year. To be in a division where there's a team that's 6-1, 6-2, 5-2, it's just unfortunate. It's hard to climb over that many teams too. I mean, the bright side is that the Bears have yet to play a division game this season, and you can decide if that's good or bad depending on which way you want to look at it. But that was a backbreaker. I also, there's got to be a better way to defend the Hail Mary. Like, try to bat it forward, right? Too many people just try to put their hand up and it kind of tips backward. I know it's easier said than done, but if you're over there and you got to play on the ball, just start swinging your arm forward. Bat it out of there. You don't have to intercept it. If you bat it forward and somebody catches it, you're probably going to stop them from getting in. But there's got to be a better strategy to stop the Hail Mary. Whether you put every defender back there in the end zone, the quarterback's got to throw it. He can't run with it. Once he's past the line of scrimmage, he can't throw it. So if you put every defender back, I don't know. There's got to be a loophole or some high percentage way to stop it than what they do. Floor is yours, VP.
I'm going to tell you exactly how you stop it, okay? Because I've seen enough football in my years. I played football. I wasn't great. I didn't, go on to play college or anything, but I played. I've been a part of football practice where you go through and you learn how to do certain things, okay? And you learn the techniques of certain style stuff. And again, NFL coaches they've forgotten more about football than I know. But to after the game triple down on bad decision-making mind boggles me. Maybe I do know more about football than them. I'll tell you what. First off, you start in the middle of the game. The Bears offense looks like complete crap for the entire first half. Just dog shit. Horrible. You have 0 points at the end of the first half. You're losing 9-0 at the end of the first half because your defense is so good that even though they're on the field the entire GD half, they only give up field goals. Once you get the Bears in the red zone, you can't score touchdowns. It's very difficult. Most of the touchdowns the Bears have given up this season have been over the top, long, great, low percentage plays. So that's just a credit to the defense. You get to the second half. You make it 12-7. Okay, good for you. Finally. DeAndre Swift bails you out because he has a 30-something yard run or whatever it is, and he ends up in the end zone. Then you get on the goal line again with a chance to take a 14-7 lead. If you go for 2, it makes it 15. You hand the ball off to a backup center? A guy who has 0 carries in the NFL. None. He's never carried the football in the NFL. And you give it to him, and he fumbles on the goal line, recovered by Washington. The second that dumbass play got into Matt Eberflus's ear, he should, because he doesn't call the offensive plays. Shane Waldron does. Shane Walgreens, as very funny people call him. Because he's Walgreens brand offensive coordinator. That's what he is. Shane Walgreens makes that stupid call to give Kramer the football. And you fumble it because he's never had a goddamn carry in the NFL before because he's an offensive lineman. You have Roschon Johnson, who went to Texas, whose specialty this season has been goal line carries. And then DeAndre Swift, who had a 30-yard touchdown earlier in the damn football game. You don't give it to one of those two guys. You give it to your fat offensive lineman earlier in the game. Or at that point in the game. So stupid. Okay. Then your defense bails you out again. And Caleb Williams, who was dog crap in the first 3 quarters, was excellent in the fourth quarter. He drives you down the field again. And you don't make the same dumbass mistake this time. You punch it in using Roschon Johnson, which you should have did 6 minutes of game clock ago because you're a dumbass and you didn't. Now we get to the final stretch of the game. The Bears are up 15-12 after completing a 2-point conversion. I'm shocked they were smart enough to go for 2 because a couple weeks prior against the Colts, they kicked a field goal. Newsflash about football. There's no difference between being up by 1 or 2. You're either up 3 or not enough. So then the Bears kick the kickoff. The Commanders have the ball at the 30. I forget exactly where they started. I think it was the 30 because of the new touchback rule. And you give them 13 free yards. You play prevent defense. What are you giving them 13 free yards for? They were out of Hail Mary range at all. If you play normal football right there, they probably don't get 13 yards. They probably don't get to Hail Mary formation in the first place. But no, too stupid to not play prevent defense in that situation. Their quarterback has a broken rib, okay? And you're playing prevent defense. They run 13 yards. Now they're in Hail Mary range. Okay. You want to know how to stop a Hail Mary? Go Google, go YouTube any Hail Mary play in the history of Hail Mary plays. The defense always sends 3 people because you have to. You have to have 3 defensive linemen line up. Most teams on Hail Mary throw 8 guys all the way back and 3 in the front. The Bears put the 3 that you have to have, and then they have – this is where Matt Eberflus is a dummy. You put TJ Edwards as a 4th guy to spy on Jaden Daniels. Does Matt Eberflus think that Jaden Daniels with a broken rib is going to run for 60 yards for a touchdown? Give me a break with the spy. So now you're already down 1 guy all the way back in the pile. And then you have dumbass Tyreek Stevenson in the corner of the end zone taunting with fans for 4.1 seconds out of the 10-second play. They did a countdown on ESPN. 4.1 seconds out of a 10-second play. Taunting the fans. And then he goes, oh, crap. And when he runs back to the pile, he doesn't even do his job. His job was to be the last man back guarding Noah Brown, who caught the touchdown. Instead of going to guard Noah Brown, he jumps into the pile in the skirmish and tips it to Noah Brown. They teach you on day 1 of football practice that on a Hail Mary, you bat it down. You don't try to catch it. You don't, when you're playing defense, you don't try to catch it. You don't try to push it along. You hit it down. Why is Stevenson so dumb to the point where he is, first of all, taunting fans? That's not even the most egregious part, in my opinion. People are pissed at him for taunting the fans. Whatever. He got back into the play and did the wrong thing. His focus was so out of touch that he didn't even know. And they confirmed, Chicago Bears confirmed that it was his job on the play to go guard Noah Brown, be the final man back. And he just didn't do it. I hate Matt Eberflus for not putting Rome Odunze on that play. Rome Odunze is like 6'6". Back when the Patriots were so good, Gronkowski would go defend Hail Marys. You get your biggest, tallest, best hand guys out there to go defend Hail Marys. There was no Rome Odunze. There was no Gerald Everett. There was no Cole Kmet. They didn't put anybody out there. And then Matt Eberflus goes on the radio the next day and tells David Kaplan and Jonathan Hood that he didn't need to use a timeout. They had 3 timeouts to use, and he did not go use any of them, and he defended it. And he told David Kaplan, we didn't need to use a timeout because we were ready, and we just didn't execute. You were ready. The guy was in the end zone taunting the fans. You were not ready. You were not ready. They needed to use that timeout. You don't get to take those timeouts home with you and use them over next week like they're cell phone minutes in 2005. They don't roll over. They're gone. You went home. It's like having an idol in your pocket, one of those dummies on Survivor that go home with idols in their pocket. You had 3, and you didn't use any of them. And you had a spy on a quarterback that wasn't going to move because he's got a broken rib, and he was 60 yards away from the end zone. You got a guy dancing in the end zone, and then he comes back. This loss for the Chicago Bears is so egregious that I basically feel like I know for a fact that the rest of the season is basically pointless because there is no shot. That was their chance. That was their chance to get the tiebreaker over the Commanders, who play in the same division as the Eagles. One of those teams is going to be the division winner. One of those teams is going to be a wild card. It's more than likely the Eagles are the division winner, to be honest with you. That means the Bears will have to break a tie with the Commanders. Even if the Commanders do somehow win the division and the Eagles are the you don't play the Eagles. You don't get a chance to earn a tiebreaker over them. The tiebreaker will probably be division record or point differential or whatever, which the Bears are certainly not going to have a better division record than the Eagles because they play the stinky Cowboys and the stinky Giants, and the Bears play the Packers and the Lions and the Vikings still. And it's a loss that you just know they're not going to the playoffs now. And it is all on Shane Waldron for thinking that running your offensive lineman running back play in a game against a team that you're going up against for the playoffs, it's done. The year's over. I mean, they're going to play, and I'm going to watch every game, and maybe I'll have a different attitude by 2 weeks from now. But I'm not confident going up against the Cardinals with this.
No,
the Cardinals are 4-4. They'll kill the Patriots. I think the Patriots are atrocious, and then you got Green Bay, who Matt LaFleur is probably the best coach in the division, either him or Campbell. But I also really like what Minnesota's doing. So all those things that went wrong with the Hail Mary. I think the second to last play is equally as egregious as the last play because you can't give them 13 free yards in that situation. You just can't do it. You have to play hard-nosed defense there. If they earn 13 yards on you, good on them. If you go back and watch the second to last play, it's 11 Chicago Bears back, just letting them run and try to waste clock. And then they go down with 4 seconds left or whatever it was and attempt a Hail Mary that they never should have been in range to be even in contention. The ball didn't even hit the end zone from where they did attempt the Hail Mary. Tyreek Stevenson pushed it back like 5 yards into the end zone. It landed at like the 2-yard line. If a Washington Commander catches it right where Stevenson tipped it, he goes down on the 2-yard line, game over. But it was just, it's egregious. And the fact that there's no accountability, Matt Eberflus thinks it's just a lack of execution that caused them the game. Like, no, you're not going to win with that staff. This is not a Super Bowl winning coaching staff. They have a almost Super Bowl caliber roster. The offensive line needs upgrades, but that was just absolutely disgusting, and I don't see them coming back from it.
They need a new coach. Simple as that. I didn't like his decision making last year.
And offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I had a lot of problems with the way he coached last year and some of the decisions this team made. I
agree. The game against the Broncos where they were winning 27-0, they should have never lost that. And then there was that terrible loss to the Cleveland Browns that they had last year too. It's bad. You can't use year one against Eberflus. I do believe that. I will defend that. When they went 3-14, that was year one. They were bad, and they told us they were going to be bad before the season started. It's still, even though you can disclude that first year, they haven't won a road game on a Sunday with Matt Eberflus as the head coach. They have 2 road wins under Eberflus. One was Thursday night last year against Washington, and one was Monday night one of the years. I can't remember who it was against. They have not won a road game on a Sunday under Matt Eberflus.
And they got another one this week.
They got another one this week. I picked the Cardinals.
Me too.
Breaking news. I think they're going to win, but it is a disgusting thing going on right now. They suck. The problem is they don't suck. Like, I'm the first one to say when the Bears stick. I'm actually probably harder on the Bears than any of my teams. The least homery, because I tell it like it is with the Bears for whatever reason, as opposed to the rest of my teams. But it's bad. Matt Eberflus, all that stuff I broke down with the play and the Hail Mary, the second to last play, giving it to Kramer. It was just so bad. And I don't see them bouncing. If Matt Eberflus went on David Kaplan and said, Cap, Hoodie, I should have called the timeout. Our guys weren't ready. I should have never let that play where the offensive lineman ran the football happen. It got in my ear. That's on me. We will be better.
Own up to it.
They didn't do it. Waldron defended it again today. He has tripled down on it. 3rd time. He's had a week. He's doubled down on it earlier in the week. He tripled down on it today. If they actually think that it was lack of execution and they would do it again if they were in that situation, well, I'll tell you what, you're going nowhere, and you will be fired by the end of the year. The Chicago Bears have never fired a head coach in the middle of the season in their 103-year history. That's probably not going to happen again this year, but it will be after this year. Matt Eberflus will be let go. They will get an entire new coaching staff. Again, it'll be Caleb Williams' second coach in 2 years, which is not how you're supposed to run a franchise. They should have canned Matt Eberflus last year if they weren't confident. You had an all-time great coaching carousel this last year. Bill Belichick, I don't want him anymore. I don't think he would be good for the Bears. But, like, Vrabel's still out there. There's Ben Johnson, I think his name is. I forget his actual name. The offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I would love to add that guy, but I don't know. It's not going to be it with Eberflus. Rant over.
It's a very good rant, VP. It's hard to follow that.
Pisses me off. Just egregious. How does Tony Romo know not to give up 13 free yards from the booth? He wasn't even on defense. He was a quarterback. Tony Romo would have been licking his chops when he looks up and sees that the defense is giving him all that field room to get into Hail Mary range.
It's tough.
Terrible.
It's a tough loss.
It's the worst loss the Bears have ever had in the regular season.
Backbreaking.
It's done. Yeah, they're done. If they get into the playoffs, they will prove me wrong. I don't believe it to be the case. Frank, I want you to talk me off a ledge so I can get into my groove tonight. I'm going to be playing some Black Ops 6 for the first time ever tonight, and I want you to talk to me about it in period number 3. Frank, hit me.
Let's have a nice discussion, VP, about Black Ops 6. All right? First of all, you downloaded it, right? It's all downloaded, ready to go?
It's downloaded, ready to go.
Downloaded and ready to go. First of all, this game's fantastic. I know I've told you many times. It's like a broken record. But we have a chance for an all-time classic here. This game's been number 1 in total players, hours played, total matches. And that could very well be because of Game Pass. But this game is good. It is good. Treyarch took all their tools that they had and used them to their advantage. To pay homage to every prior Treyarch Call of Duty game was one of the smartest moves Treyarch could have made. Returning everything to classic Call of Duty while also throwing in a modern aspect is something previous Call of Duty installments have failed to do. It's when you play Black Ops 6, it still feels like a modern day Call of Duty. There are modern day equipment and modern day kill streaks, and there's a lot of modern day feel to the game, but it still is everything classic, and that's what makes this game so much fun. The classic prestiging, the boots on the ground, we have a chance for an all-time great here that'll be talked about for many years to come. I really believe that. The only thing I'll have to say about the game, and you really don't know yet, but you will by the end of the night, is I'm not the biggest fan of the maps. I think the maps could be a lot better. I think some of them have the chance to grow over time. But then again, today, Nuketown 24/7, I know that's a map I enjoy. That debuted today. Double XP weekend starts today. I highly encourage everybody to download the game if they haven't already. With Black Ops 6, it's easier than ever to get your hands on a copy. If you got Game Pass, you download it for free. It's just an all-time great, and I'm excited to see what you think, what you're gonna think about the game. But it's just everything's crisp. The menu's crisp. The music's kind of annoying. They have one song playing. I actually tried to figure out a way if I could turn it off, but I was getting annoyed. But other than that, man, the gameplay just unreal. What's your take from what you've heard and seen so far? You excited?
I'm very excited. I'll be getting the T-Bell tonight, either T-Bell or Chipotle. Haven't decided yet.
BK's out the window.
No, it's not. It's either T-Bell, BK, or Chipotle.
Okay.
Maybe all three.
That'd be sick.
I will be playing. The Devils play at 8 against the Calgary Flames, so I have that to do as well. But the intermissions before and after, I will be playing Helicod. From the second I'm done working today until that point, that is what my life will be playing COD. So very excited about it. Thank you for the insight. Nuketown 24/7.
You gonna play it?
Absolutely.
Or are you gonna because you haven't played, you're gonna dabble with some of the other maps?
No, I'm gonna do the 24/7 while it's available, and then I'll dabble into the other maps throughout the week when it goes away. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time. I'm also excited for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Breaking bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
Frank, the floor is yours with breaking bets. You ever going to get that shit over 50%? Let's
Dude,
go.
we were deep and we've been climbing the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we were perfect, 3 for 3. Last week we went 2 for 3. It's climbing. That means
Let's
we're on
go.
pace this week to get it to about 50%.
Yep.
Well, if I go 2-1, it would be under by 1, but regardless, we got to if we sweep the board, we'll be over 50%. I like the picks this week. We've been hot lately. We're going to go back. We have an NHL pick this week. We took the week off from the NHL last week. Got the Tampa Bay Lightning at the Minnesota Wild. Both of these teams been great to start the season. Lightning on a 3-game winning streak. The Wild are coming home after a very successful 7-game road trip. The last time, ironically, that the Lightning lost prior to the 3-game win streak was against the Minnesota Wild 4 games ago. So I think this is a payback game for the Lightning. They want it. The Wild are coming home. They did a lot of traveling back and forth, traveling back home. I think they're going to be a bit tired. I don't think they have a full tank to take down the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we're going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning money line at -108, bet to win 2 units. Another good game this Saturday, VP. We got number 4 Ohio State, number 3 Penn State. I'm a little miffed that this game takes place at 11 a.m.
It's big
I,
noon
I,
kickoff.
I,
The Big Ten owns big noon kickoff.
I think it's silly. I think we had you put it in the 6:30 time slot because now the 6:30 time slot still could be a good game. Texas A&M and unranked South Carolina could
It'll
be a
never
good game,
happen.
huh?
It'll never happen.
It's stupid. I hate it. I've always hated it. But this should be a very good game. Both teams have a great defense. Ohio State has proved it could carve up some teams with a good defense, though. They've dominated this Penn State matchup over the past 10 years, or 10 meetings, I should say, winning 9 of the last 10 meetings over Penn State, with Penn State's only win coming in 2016. When a matchup is this heavily dominated, I love siding with the team who has dominated. So either way, it could be a great game, but I think Ohio State gives Penn State their first loss of the season. Ohio State money line -162, bet to win 5 units. A lot of juice there, but I do think they get the win nonetheless. And then finally, Sunday football, the NFL. Talked about these teams, the Chicago Bears and the Arizona Cardinals. VP, I agree with you. I think the Cardinals win this game. Bears are coming off a very tough back-breaking loss. Cardinals, they've been playing some very good football lately. They're currently on a 2-game win streak. I really like the Cardinals' chances in this game. At home against the Bears, where they've yet to win a game on the road this season, feels like a great opportunity to jump on the Cardinals at home. They're one of those pesky, mediocre teams that they just could give any team trouble any week. And I think the Bears are going to have their handfuls this week, especially off of last week's loss. Cardinals money line -122, bet to win 3 units. I think it's a good opportunity here. And I know for a lot of the Chicago fans watching, it may be hard for them to hear that, but I do think the Cardinals are going to take this game against the Chicago Bears.
Very good, Frank. Those are good picks. I want to be wrong about the Bears. I really, really do. I just don't think I am. So, in order to keep up with everything going on with the Chicago Bears, you could stick with it here on the Bar Room Network, where there will be lots of content coming out about what goes on around the NFL and the Chicago Bears. College football this weekend, a couple big games. Super stoked about that. Michigan, Oregon too.
Yep.
That'll be good.
Yep.
It'll be real good. Super excited about it all. Maction starts next week too, which is very, very exciting. I think NIU plays next Wednesday.
I like Maction.
Oh, Maction's the best. So it'll be a good time. I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. I hope everybody had a safe and sound Halloween. And we will talk to you next Friday when we come back down with some more of the best conversations throughout the sports world, especially the NHL. Frank, before we close out, is there anything else you want to hit anyone with?
Can't wait for Double XP weekend.
Going to be a good night. Add us both on Xbox and PlayStation. Reach out on Twitter at the King Bean, at Vinnie Parisi to chat. And as always, thank you for listening.